Sometimes I wish I'd take the elevator. Absolutely. We are meeting next door at Appropriations Public Safety, so I just left that meeting to rush over here. We have a resolution and a bill actually on the agenda today, and we're going to begin with House Resolution 205. And Frank, if you would,
Where would you like me to share?
right there would be wonderful if you grab that microphone for us, Frank. Everybody have your copy of House Resolution 205?
Mr. Chairman, I have a synopsis. I don't know if that was in the package or not. You got it there? Okay.
Yes, we do have the synopsis.
Great. Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to address them in general or one at a time through the synopsis, or at the pleasure of the committee.
Let's run through the synopsis.
All right.
Everybody have a copy of the resolution and the synopsis. Before you begin, Mr. Smith, let me just ask you a couple of basic questions.
Yes, sir.
Representatives and senators in districts impacted by these?
Yes, sir. All have been contacted and left a synopsis to review on their own.
Okay. As far as you know, there's not been any concerns or issues expressed by any representatives and senators?
As far as I know, there have been none.
Okay. All right, let's start with the synopsis.
Okay. This is 18 conveyances throughout the state that's been bundled into one resolution, and we'll start with Baldwin County. This is a conveyance of about 4/10 of an acre to the Department of Transportation for the Fall Line Freeway, Highway 540. The next item in Ben Hill County, a conveyance to the city of Fitzgerald, the old Fitzgerald Armory, about 4.3 acres for use as the County Board of Education for public purpose. In Bibb County, conveyance of about 3.77 acres, which is the old Armory National Guard in Macon, to Bibb County for use as the County Board of Education and for other public purpose. Again in Bibb County, the conveyance of about an 8-acre, the old Macon Regional Youth Detention Center. There is no one identified to convey this to, so this will be sold to a local government or by competitive bid. In Butts County, a very small conveyance of about 0.06 of an acre to Department of Transportation for road widening at State Route 36. In Chatham County, about 1,600 acres is in title dispute. This would be to resolve that dispute by allowing the conveyance of about 861 acres. The benefit to the state of that is clear title of over 700 acres of marshaling and the funding to clean up this potentially contaminated site. In Chattooga County, about 5.2 acres, the old Northwest Regional Crime Lab in Somerville. Authorization to convey to a local government or by competitive bid. In Crawford County, this is a conveyance of about 0.05 of an acre to the Department of Transportation for State Route 128 over the Flint River, a new bridge. In Floyd County, conveyance of about 1.8 acres, the old Talmadge Gym. This gym was damaged by a flood and a new gym was constructed. This would be conveyed to a local government or by competitive bid. McDuffie County, about 0.2 of an acre to be conveyed to the Thompson-McDuffie County Commission. This property was originally donated to the state in 1967. This would allow the conveyance back to the joint county-city government. Mitchell County, conveyance of about 20 acres, which is the old Pelham Probation Detention Center. This would be a sale or lease to the city of Pelham for use as their detention center. In Paulding County, this is the conveyance of conservation restrictions, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The Corps of Engineers contribute over $400,000 to the state to help acquire a piece of Sheffield Wildlife Management Area. As part of that fee, they required a restrictive covenant be placed on the property. This is allowing that restriction to be placed on the property. In Putnam County, 12.13 acres, the old Putnam Prison. This has been vacant more than 8 years. This would be conveyed to the city of Eatonton for public purpose. In Richmond County, conveyance of 0.019 of an acre. This is for traffic operations improvements for the Department of Transportation and State Route 121 and Tobacco Road. Again in Richmond County, conveyance of about 6.45 acres, the old Augusta Alcohol, Drug, and Rehabilitation Center, to be conveyed to a local government or by competitive bid. In Spalding County, a 5-acre tract, the former Griffin Regional Youth Development Center, to be conveyed to a local government or by competitive bid. In Tattnall County, the authorization of conveyance of about 220 acres as part of a swap to Stanley Farms LLC. The state would receive 19 acres that is adjacent to Reedsville Prison for the use of corrections in their agricultural purposes. In addition to the 19 acres, the state would receive the appraised value of $257,000, which is the difference between the values of the property. And finally, in Wilkes County, a little less than 1 acre to be conveyed to Wilkes County. This is the former Wilkes County Forestry Unit. They intend to use the facility for Public Works and Emergency Service Response Unit. Yes, sir.
Yes. We do have a couple of new committee members. Anybody have questions at this point, Mr. Smith? Okay. We do have a couple of new committee members. Mr. Smith, if you could talk to the committee about the process of determining the amount of consideration for property that's being conveyed, first of all, to another government entity,
Sure.
And then also after that, I want you to talk a little bit about the competitive bid process.
Sure. Okay. If the property is to be conveyed to a local government entity, the state only wants to get its investment back. So if the state sells general obligation bonds and there's debt outstanding, the state needs to get that debt and its investment back out of the property before it goes out of the title of the state. We also consider a public purpose consideration, and so many times a local city or county, the conveyance will be for any outstanding debt and the additional benefit of public purpose. So Board of Education, 911 response services, things like that, the state considers benefit because it serves the citizens of Georgia as well. For anything that is going to be conveyed to a private entity, the law requires us to publicly advertise that through a competitive bid process, and this legislation would authorize the Properties Commission to begin that process.
Okay. I think Representative Buckner has a question about the conveyance, but before we go there, for the new members, do y'all have any questions about the process? Okay. Representative Buckner?
I was expecting someone to say that there may be a conveyance of the Sports Hall of Fame building in Macon to the city of Macon to operate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Is that in the process?
It is in the process. That may be considered on the House side as a committee substitute. Right now there's $839,000 of outstanding bond debt on that facility, and we're working with the Sports Hall of Fame group and the local delegation to try to see if that's an amount of money that's doable, and if it's not, we're looking at potential other options. Hmm?
Any other questions? Any other questions for Mr. Smith? We do. Representative Kidd. We have a motion and a second to pass. Any other questions or discussion about the resolution? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Motion to do pass. House Resolution 205 carries, and we will have that ready to take the rules. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Last week we looked at House Bill 91 and had some discussion and conversation about House Bill 91, and it was very apparent in last week's hearing that the committee had an interest in moving this forward. We did have a subcommittee that has met and put together a substitute. You have that in your folder, LC 352858S. Representative Benton is the author of this bill, and Representative Benton is very sick today and not able to be with us. So Representative Green was the chairman of the subcommittee. I'm going to allow him to talk to us a little bit about the changes. Legislative Counsel is here as well to talk about that if need be. If y'all have any questions, we'll obviously allow those questions as well. But Representative Green, if you would just share with us the changes made by the subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a long way from coming over from LOB. He rushed out, and I couldn't rush out because I had my judge speaking, and so I had to stay a little bit longer. So I'm catching my breath here. But, Mr. Chairman, your subcommittee had under consideration House Bill 91 by Representative Tommy Benton. And there we had talked about a number of changes that we wanted to see in the bill to make it a stronger bill. It was a very good bill, and of course it deals with the removal or concealment from display for the purpose of preventing the display of monuments there. And with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask our attorney Terry Long to sort of just walk us through what we suggested to her, and she was able to put into the language for us.
That'd be fine, Ms. Long. If you would grab the microphone in front of me, turn it on, because we do want to make sure we hear it's on the top. Thank you, Ms. Long.
Really, we just made, excuse me, two changes. The first change is on line 18, beginning after name, display, or memorial, indicated just a little tightening of the definition of monument, that it was constructed and located with intent of being permanently displayed and perpetually maintained. That language was added just to clarify the definition of monument. Then on the next page, we did provide for the sanctioning of individuals that damage, destroy, lose, or basically remove a monument without replacing it. The cause of action is created that so that the entity, the governmental entity, I guess in this case the state, would be able to collect the cost of replacement as well as court costs and attorney's fees. And that, I apologize if I didn't indicate where it was. It's line 46 through 52. All of that language is new. And then we also added a jurisdictional clause on line really 55 through 57, so that there was a location indication of where these cause of actions for damages or injunctive relief would be brought. And those are the only changes.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Any members have any questions about? Did you turn that back off?
I think that's me.
Okay, so if we have two on, sometimes we get away with it, but not always, even two. Any members have questions about House Bill 91? Yes.
Here. On section 4, where we added the language about the attorney's fees, I remember the conversation when we were last here, but should the shalls in subsection 4 be may, making them, obviously it still has to be proven in a court of law that they may be liable for the cost rather than this foregone conclusion. Small difference, but it may be a big difference. I don't know how we've handled it in other parts of the code. Something to consider.
Go ahead.
Very much for this opportunity. I note that we require the person that removes it to replace it, but nothing in here requires them to replace it in any fashion that was equal to or better than where it was taken down. And replace can have an awful lot of definitions. If we're talking about a large monument or something like that, it needs to be properly replaced with the proper foundations, etc. I'm just wondering if we're leaving ourselves open to something while we've got this section of the code open. I'd like to make sure that whatever gets replaced properly, and I just want to make sure that we're comfortable with this language, that it does cover that.
Go ahead. Line 70, paragraph 7 deals with some of the relocation. It would be relocated to a site of similar prominence, honor, visibility, availability, and access within the same jurisdiction. It deals with that aspect of it. But
Thank you for line 46.
46?
I can't cover it. Yeah, we're kind of working around it, but I don't know if, and maybe legislative counsel would further advise us. I just don't want to leave an opening here for somebody to take something down and then just sort of throw it back up as they continue on with their construction projects, and leaving us to come back and have to spend state monies to repair it and have it installed properly at any future date.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure which language are you looking at a particular section or
No,
area?
No,
I'm
he's
not.
not.
I apologize. I'm just looking at the overall
The
code.
section added deals with replacement costs, which means the entity would probably replace it, that the person would be responsible for that complete cost of replacement. I'm not sure where in the statute, if anywhere, it requires the entity that moved it to replace it. There's a presumption that they will replace it, and if they don't, then we would hold them liable for the full cost of the entity actually replacing it. But I'll be glad to add language. I'm not sure if you want an entity that's stolen it or broken it or otherwise not replaced it, if you want them to be responsible for replacing it.
Mr. Chairman. Would it not be on the definition of agency, department, department of
Turn mine off here.
not be the agency of the department, which is control of that particular monument. If it gets defaced or destroyed or whatever, then it's up to that agency of state government to make sure that whoever was at fault either replaces it to their specifications or pay for it to be replaced per their specifications. So it's under the control of the agency of the department. I think they're the ones who makes the final decision about whether or not it's replaced properly and paid for properly. That's the way I read it.
We could add
Consider line 47,
Right.
replacing it to the satisfaction of the agency or
That might help.
I want to replace in the same manner or better, and I don't know the word for that, I'm trying to think of that. Because a large monument or statue, that can be a considerable undertaking. You know, a little teeny monument may not be, but a large one might be.
Generally in litigation, those issues are really a part of negotiations and a part of the questioning, which is if you get to court. As far as replacement costs, the party is to be made whole in any litigation. So
Ms. Long, if someone violated this statute by not, would it be a violation of this statute if in moving for construction purposes and then replacing in an inferior manner, would that be a violation of this statute that would allow the municipality or the agency that was responsible for that monument, would that be a violation that would allow them to take that individual or that officer to court for not properly replacing it?
absolutely. But we can say something replacing it in the same original manner or something like that, making sure feel comfortable with that.
That's my overall thought. I didn't know the right words for that. That's my concept.
How about on line 47, after the word replacing, to the specifications required by the controlling agency or authority?
It's original specifications.
It's original. In the
Ms.
same-
Long?
Replacing
Doing
it,
better.
replacing it in the same, to the same or original manner, I don't know.
But you've relocated it for a reason.
These are folks that aren't relocating, this is actually,
These are the road monuments by the side of the road.
well, any monument really, but they're putting it back where they got it, basically. They're not changing the original location.
So but they put it back, it might not be as in good condition as it was when they took it
Right,
back.
right. Well, that would be considered a damage. Because it does indicate any damage or destruction would be considered.
We were trying not to put too many words and, be too technical in that, but I'm sure that we would, that Representative Benton would be open to, a little bit of clarification there if we can come up with the language right quick.
This is why I was saying, do the requirements of the controlling agency.
So if the monument had a broken arm, controlling agency needed to put it back, it's replaced, but then the agency or department that has control of it say, hey, this arm didn't fix good enough, you need to fix it better.
Maybe satisfaction of the
It's pretty interpretive.
Yeah, satisfaction becomes.
Well, and we want to make sure too that a controlling organization would not just be unreasonable in their repairs as well. So.
And I'm not sure how involved the owning agency is in these situations. I know that
Mr. Chairman, I do have a small recommendation.
Okay.
In the center of line 47, I might recommend replace, without replacing it, within original specifications, adding those three words.
Two original specifications.
For two original specifications.
What?
Original specifications.
Okay. Do you want to offer that amendment,
I would like to
Representative?
offer that amendment to the substitution.
Okay. Is there a second to that amendment?
I'll second it. I have a question.
Okay. What's your question, Representative?
A monument was made and erected in 1898.
And it gets defaced. What's the definition of original? That's the definition.
I don't think we can cover all of those. I think that one might have to go to court. Or at least if we had this word in there, I think it would give us a better legal position.
That's why I was saying.
I agree, there's millions of them.
So,
Definition required by the agency.
so when you start looking at those types of possibilities, would we be better off leaving it as it is, and then leaving it to the courts if there is a conflict? If an agency doesn't feel that it's been repaired sufficiently, then they can take it to the courts. Would we be better off just leaving it as it is?
Well, the original thought was that there's some flexibility in determining what is a damage. And this, if by adding more detailed language, you restrict what can be claimed as a damage, arguably.
Council's comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. I just didn't want to leave us open to that was all my stuff.
Would you like to withdraw your...
I'll be more than happy to withdraw.
Okay. We have a motion to pass LC 352858S with multiple seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The House Committee on State Property Substitute, LC 352858S, is passed. Anything else to come before the committee? Meeting adjourned.
Committee of poop. What'd you start to say, poop?
Stay out. Oh, by the way, just we have a standing committee for Wednesday afternoons at 3 o'clock. However, next week we will not be meeting. Our committee will not meet next week.
Maybe we can find a